Crazy ass Bender. It wouldn't have mattered if he'd picked every note, or whatever way he did it. It would still sound like him. He's jumping, he's doing all kinds of stuff, swinging the guitar around. The joy. The joy. It was so easy for him. Mastering the instrument was so far in his past. It was like the triumph of attaining that goal. He probably experienced it when he was 13. He'd forgotten how far he had come, because he couldn't even remember the time when he sucked. Maybe the drugs, the drinking, that might not have happened, at least not as bad as it did, if he'd felt better about where he was. He had no awareness of being great. Playing all that crazy shit was just what he did. But when he played, he forgot whatever else was bothering him. That smile was all over his face. You've seen it. The smile and that sound. That unforgettable sound. I don't know who first called him crazy ass, but it fit. He was unrestrained. The notes he played, the way he played them. It was astounding. What planet did this guy come from? His sound had an attitude that jumped out and kicked you in the balls. It made you burst out laughing, pound your fist into your palm and say, yeah. It made you smile. I knew his ex-wife, Sherry Lynn. Back when they were together, she hung out at some of the sessions when I played on Crazy Ass's records. His band was there, of course, but sometimes they wanted another guitar. I mean, Crazy could have played all the parts, but sometimes they needed it to not sound like him, if you know what I mean. A session musician is the opposite of Crazy Ass. They need to have whatever sound is necessary. You don't want everything to stand out the way his playing did. Sherry was cool. She wasn't working class ghetto like Crazy Ass, but she wasn't a European supermodel either. She could be down home. I mean, I talked to her, and I wouldn't know what to say to a supermodel. She was an actress, but it hadn't changed her. The same way massive success hadn't changed Crazy Ass, other than make his life more difficult because of all the sidetracks and temptations. I think Sherry would have been with him if he had been a plumber instead of a famous musician. In fact, back then I thought she might have liked that better, because then they'd probably still be together. They had a son, Ulvin. Ulvi, we called him. When Ulvi was 10 years old, Sherry contacted me to see if I would give him guitar lessons. I can't teach him, I told her. There's nothing I could show him that his dad couldn't do 10 times better. CA sat down with him and tried a few times, she said. But he didn't really have words for what he did, that a 10-year-old could understand anyway. He felt like he was letting Ulvi down. I told her I'd think about it. A few hours later, Crazy Ass called and asked me to teach his son. I couldn't say no to him. So I went over twice a week and gave Ulvi lessons. He caught on real fast. After a couple years, he was touring with Crazy Ass. The funny thing about Ulvi's playing was how minimal it was. Not the notes, but the physical aspect. It was like he was barely moving. His body didn't seem to move at all. You could hardly detect a change in his hand placement or fingers, or movement in his picking hand. Yet he was playing outrageous stuff, the same stuff Crazy Ass played. Ulvi had absorbed the essence of Crazy's playing, and by some sort of Zen-like understanding, he found the simplest way to make it happen. After Crazy Ass and Sherry split up, I wasn't giving Ulvi lessons anymore, but we remained friends, and he'd call me from time to time when he was on the road, or drop by when he was home. He could have taught me lessons at that point. Crazy Ass was no plumber. He was a guitarist who changed music for all the players who came after him. He was meant to be a musician. I sometimes wonder why he had to pay such a heavy price for it. It was Ulvi who called me with the news that his dad had overdosed and was in a coma. Sherry, Ulvi, and I stayed at the hospital for days, keeping watch. When Crazy Ass finally stirred and blinked his eyes, and began responding to words by blinking when Sherry asked him to, the three of us hugged and cried. Sherry brought him home, and he slowly recovered. He got stronger and eventually was able to walk on his own and speak almost normally. Damage had been done, and there were some things he never got back. One day after watching Ulvi play, he picked up a guitar and looked it over like he'd never seen one before. Ulvi told me his father didn't know what to do with it. He'd lost it all. The physical skills, his knowledge of the notes on the fretboard, everything. A few days later I was visiting. Ulvi was off in the other room playing something. Crazy Ass nodded his head to the groove and smiled. I used to play like that, he said. You still could. I told him you could get it back. It's enough to hear Ulvi do it. Do you think I want that life again? Sherry's with me now. This is the best thing that ever happened to me. I had to think about that for a long time, but I finally decided he was right.